नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भक्तसेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 3, Rishabhadev's appearance in the womb of Meru Devi, the wife of King Nabhi. Text number 12 onwards. Ath katanjit skhalan pshut patan jrambhana durvasthanadishu vivashanam smaranaya jvara maranam dashayam api sakal kashmal nirasanani tav guna krit nama dheyani vachan gocharani bhavantu. Dear Lord, we may not be able to remember your name, form, and qualities due to stumbling, hunger, falling down, yawning, or being in a miserable, diseased condition at the time of death when there is high fever. We therefore pray unto you, O Lord, for you are very affectionate to your devotees. Please help us remember you and utter your holy names, attributes, and activities which can dispel all the reactions of our sinful lives. So the Brahmins, the Brahmins who perform the ceremony, sacrifice, they are praying to the Lord. The real success in life is Ante Narayana Smriti, remembering the holy name, attributes, activities, and form of the Lord at the time of death. Although we may be engaged in the Lord's devotional service in the temple, material conditions are so tough and inevitable that we may forget the Lord at the time of death due to a diseased condition or mental derangement. Therefore, we should pray to the Lord to be able to remember his lotus feet without fail at the time of death, when we are in such a precarious condition. In this regard, one may also see Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th canto, that we'll see later on. So we should pray to the Lord to be able to remember his lotus feet without fail at the time of death. So just like that video that we saw today, that lady was chanting Bhagavad Gita shlokas. Well, she was in coma. Surgery was going on and she was chanting and she was in coma, completely under anesthesia. So that means how much practice she must have done. Every day she must have been chanting those shlokas. So at that time, she could only think of that thing. That's it. That's the Bhagavad Gita shlokas. So this is how our practice should be of chanting the holy names. No matter what, we should engage in chanting of the holy names more and more and more and more. That's all our goal should be. So it is possible that by mercy of the Lord, we will be able to remember him, his holy name, at the time of death. Otherwise, it's not possible. And okay, yes, Krishna's mercy, you get a chance again. But why wait for another chance? Kinchayam Raja Rishir Patyakama Prajam Bhavad Rishim Ashasam Ishwaram Ashisham Swargapavargayorapi Bhavantam Upadhavati Prajayam Artha Pratyayo Dhanadam Iva Dhana Fali Karanam. Dear Lord, here is a great King Nabhi whose ultimate goal in life is to have a son like you. Your Lordship, his position is like that of a person approaching a very rich man and begging for a little grain. King Nabhi is so desirous of having a son that he is worshipping you for his son, although you can offer him any exalted position, including elevation to the heavenly planets or liberation back to Godhead. So priests are saying, oh, he's approaching you just for his son. It's like going to a rich man and begging for a little grain, or just like going to a manufacturer of pens and asking him, just give me a pen. can give you a lot more. So even the Supreme Lord, even the Brahmins are saying, you can give him elevation to heavenly planets or liberation back to Godhead. But all he wants is a son, but not just an ordinary son, like you. They said that. The priests were a little ashamed that King Nabhi was performing a great sacrifice just to ask the Lord's benediction for his son. The Lord could offer him promotion to the heavenly planets or to the Vaikuntha planets. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taught us how to approach the Supreme Lord and ask him for the ultimate benediction. He said, Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim. He did not want to ask the Supreme Lord for anything material. Material opulence means riches, a nice family, a good wife, and many followers. But an intelligent devotee does not ask the Supreme Lord for anything material. His only prayer is Mam Janmani Janmanishwari. He wants to be engaged perpetually in the loving service of the Lord. He does not want promotion to the heavenly planets or mukti, liberation. If this were the case, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would not have said, Mam Janmani Janmani. It doesn't matter to a devotee whether or not he takes birth life after life, as long as he remains a devotee. Actually, eternal devotee means returning home back to God. A devotee is never concerned about anything material. Although Navi Maharaj wanted a son like Vishnu, wanting a son like God is also a form of sense gratification. A pure devotee wants only to engage in the Lord's loving service. So that's all his aspiration is, a devotee's aspiration. So King Navi, now let's see why he wanted a son like the Lord himself, not just an ordinary son. Kova ihte aparajito aparajitya mayayan vasit pad vyana vritam atir vishaya visharayana vrit prakritiranu pasitam acharana. Dear Lord, unless one worships the lotus feet of great devotees, one will be conquered by the illusory energy, and his intelligence will be bewildered. Indeed, who has not been carried away by the waves of material enjoyment, which are like poison? Your illusory energy is unconquerable. No one can see the path of this material energy or tell how it is working. Maharaj Navi was inclined to performing great sacrifices for begetting a son. The son might be as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but such a material desire, be it great or insignificant, is brought about by the influence of Maya. A devotee does not at all desire anything for sense gratification. Devotion is therefore explained as devoid of material desires, anya bhyalashita shunya. Everyone is subjected to the influence of Maya, entangled in all kinds of material desire. And Maharaj Navi was no exception. Freedom from Maya's influence is possible when one engages in the service of the great devotees, Mahat Charana Seva. Without worshipping the lotus feet of a great devotee, one cannot be freed from Maya's influence. Srila Narottam Das Thakur therefore says, Chadiya Vaishnav Seva Nistara Paiche Keba. Who has been freed from Maya's clutches without serving the lotus feet of a Vaishnava? Maya is aparajita, and her influence is also aparajita. Means this divine energy of mind, Krishna says, consisting of three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. So the Brahmins are saying that Maharaj Navi is under the influence of Maya. He's only asking for something material. But a real devotee, he's devoid of any material desires. And they are saying, even if he wants a son like you, but it is still a material desire. And it's not good for a devotee. But again, there are gradations of devotees. Of course, we should not have material desires, but it's not a It's not a crime to have material desires because we are still trying to make progress. We are struggling to make progress. Suppose we try to imitate, just like later on we'll see the story of Jada Bharat, or imitate anybody from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. We won't even survive one day on the path of bhakti. If you try to imitate Haridas Thakur, okay, I want to chant 192 rounds every day and do all sorts of austerities. Not possible, not practical for us. So, yes, with more focus on spiritual life, spirituality, we still try to get on with our material lives. But the focus, main focus, should be on spiritual life. So let the Lord take away all the desires slowly, slowly, slowly by giving us more and more attraction for His holy name, for His service, for the association of devotees. This is what Narottam Das Thakur is saying, that Chadiya Vaishnav Seva Nistara Payachike. Without serving the lotus feet of a Vaishnav, how can anybody be freed from the clutches of Maya? Not possible. And here in the shloka also it is said, Maya is aparajita, one who cannot be defeated. And her influence is also aparajita. Actually, here obviously it's mentioned for Maya, but Srimati Radharani's another name is aparajita also. She's never defeated. Never. But anyway, in this context, it's about Maya. And Maya is also expansion of Srimati Radharani only. So she's also never defeated. But a devotee doesn't like to defeat Maya because he doesn't like to defeat anybody. He just so attached to Krishna's lotus feet that Maya does not have any influence on him anymore. Only a devotee can surpass Maya's great influence. It was no fault on Maharaj Nabi's part that he wanted a son. He wanted a son like the Supreme Personality of God, who is the best of all sons. By the association of Lord's devotee, one no longer desires material opulence. This is confirmed with Chaitanya Charitamrita. If one is serious about escaping Maya's influence and returning home back to Godhead, one must associate with its sadhu or devotee. That is the verdict of all scriptures. By the slight association of a devotee, one can be freed from the clutches of Maya. Without the mercy of the pure devotee, one cannot get freedom by any means. Certainly, a pure devotee's association is necessary in order to obtain the loving service of the Lord. One cannot be freed from the Maya's clutches without sadhusanga, the benediction of a great devotee. So to be free from the clutches of Maya, from the influence of Maya, one has to perform bhakti completely, fully surrendered at the lotus feet of Krishna. And that bhakti one cannot perform without the association of devotees. That is why association of devotees is very, very important. One cannot become the Lord's pure devotee without taking the dust of a great devotee on his head. Pada Rajo Abhishekam. A pure devotee is Nishkinchan. He has no material desire to enjoy the material world. One has to take shelter of such a pure devotee in order to attain his qualities. The pure devotee is always free from the clutches of Maya and her influence. So pure devotee is always free from the clutches of Maya and her influence. But a pure devotee always prays to Krishna. Just like once Srila Prabhupada was in the temple in front of the deities of Radha Krishna, I don't know which temple. And he was there for some time and standing and praying. And Shutkirti Prabhu, who was his personal servant, he asked later on, Prabhupada, what were you praying to the deities for? Prabhupada said, I prayed to Radha Krishna to not let me fall down in Maya. And then Prabhupada said, you Westerners, of course, through Westerners, Prabhupada was trying to tell this to everybody, all of us. Just because we have Indian body doesn't mean our consciousness is any better. So he said, you Westerners, you don't take Maya seriously. You flirt with Maya. And I was praying to the Lord to save me from the effects of Maya. So even Prabhupada, who's praying to the Lord like that, how sincere we should be in praying to the Lord like that. Our situation is we are always in Maya. Always. Maybe few moments of the day when we are doing some devotion service, we are in Krishna's or Radharani's influence. Otherwise, completely in Maya, totally in Maya. But our only saving grace is mercy of Srila Prabhupada. That's all. So we carry on with our services, with our devotional duties, and we pray to Prabhupada for his mercy. Pray to the Supreme Lord for his mercy. Pray to the predecessor Acharyas. Pray to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu for their mercy. Without their mercy, we cannot make any progress. We cannot make any progress at all. And also, begging for the mercy means we have to take a very humble position. First of all, understanding our position, understanding a precarious position, and then understanding the position of Srila Prabhupada or all the acharyas, how advanced, how elevated they are. And in that case, there is no harm. We should not be ashamed of asking for mercy. Yes, I'm fallen. Yes, I'm fallen. I'm fallen. Please, Prabhupada, you save me. Please, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Radharani, Krishna, please save me. But that prayer has to come out from the bottom of our hearts, from the core of our hearts. And that is why we read this word, a pure devotee is Nishkinchan. He has no material desire to enjoy the material world. Also, Nishkinchan means he has nothing in the material world. Means just like if there is any problem in our life, anything, little bit problem or bigger problems, depending whatever we think of big problems as big problems. Any problem in our life, first thing that we take consideration of is our own strength, bodily strength, mental strength, then the financial strength, then the relatives or friends, then maybe some other social circle, some contacts somewhere. In the end, when everything fails or doesn't give us the full success, we take shelter of the Supreme Lord. Rather, that's why Krishna makes everybody Nishkinchan, or he Harishyata Dhanam Shanaya. He says, I take away everything. Why? Because then there are no friends. Once somebody is poor, relatives leave him. They just they just don't even want to talk to him or see him, or don't even want to let anybody know that they are this person's relative. We'll see the story of Avanti Brahman in 12th canto. So, and when somebody is so poor, he has no money, no relatives, no friends will protect him or give him any help. What else is going to do if any problem comes? Just gonna take shelter of Lord. Take shelter of the Lord's holy name. Take shelter of the Lord's lotus feet of the Lord's devotees. And that is when his door to the spiritual world opens up. Draupadi, when she was being disrobed, she cried for help. This episode you can see in even B.R. Chopra's Mahabharata. He has done a good job. But still, it was much more heart-rending than what he showed. He cried for help. Pandavas, they could not get up. He looked at everybody, he cried. Bhishmitama, Dronacharya, all the wonderful warriors were sitting there, Kripacharya, Dhritra. Every single body he looked at, he cried, he called out their names. So many kings were in the assembly. Nobody could get up. Then she tried with her hands to cling on to her sari. But Dushasana was very powerful. He had the strength of 10,000 elephants. And they were Dwapar Yuga elephants, not even Kali Yuga elephants, Dwapar Yuga elephants. And Draupadi was a weak lady, female. So she is trying to grab onto her sari, but Dushasana is pulling. Then with one hand, she hung on to her sari, one hand was up in the air, calling, "Hey Dwarkadisha Giridhar, please come protect me." Krishna didn't come. When she let go of the other hand also, okay, Krishna, only you can protect me. Even I cannot protect myself. Please protect me, protect my chastity. And when did Krishna take even a second to appear? No, he appeared right away. Right away. He was standing right there. When Draupadi was crying and she was asking for help. Nobody. But as soon as she let go of both the hands, with both the hands, she raised up in the air and just took shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna. Krishna appeared right away. Right away. And he wanted to play with Dushasana. He could have killed Dushasana right away. What was a big deal for him? No, he wanted to play with Dushasana, and he wanted to give that credit of killing Dushasana to Bhima. So he took the incarnation of Sadi. He is unlimited. Sadi became unlimited. Okay, Dushasana, let's see who wins. I'm Krishna. I'm unlimited. How much you gonna pull? So Dushasana kept on pulling. How he can win against Krishna? But that's the mood from this incident. Of course, there are so many things Krishna wanted to teach. A major thing he wanted to teach was, I'm always there to protect my devotees. And Draupadi is his very close devotee. Her another name is Krishna, actually, with a long A. And of course, in that assembly, whoever was sitting and whoever didn't speak against all this injustice, they all got punished. Only person who speak up was Vidurji afterwards. But everybody else got punished. Even Pandavas got punished because they had to go to the forest. but the mood, of course, I don't want to go into Mahabharata too much. Mood should be complete shelter. And that mood comes slowly, 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 slowly. But that is what we have to develop. यदु हवाव तव पुनरद भ्रकर्त्र हि समाहो तस्तत्रार्थ धियाम मंदानम नस्तद्य देव देवहेलनम देव देवारहसि साम्येन सर्वान् प्रतिवोढुं vidusham avidusham. O Lord, you perform many wonderful activities. Our only aim was to acquire a son by performing this great sacrifice. Therefore, our intelligence is not very sharp. We are not experienced in ascertaining life's goal. By inviting you to this negligible sacrifice for some material motive, we have certainly committed a great offense at your lotus feet. Therefore, Lord of Lords, please excuse our offense because of your causeless mercy and equal mind. The priest was certainly unhappy to have called the Supreme Lord from Vaikuntha for such an insignificant reason. Of course, they didn't know that the Lord appeared because of the devotion of Navi Maharaj and Meru Devi. He didn't care for all the sacrifice and the offerings and the chanting of the mantras by the priest. He was pleased, but he didn't have to come personally. A pure devotee never wants to see the Lord unnecessarily. The Lord is engaged in various activities, and the pure devotee does not want to see him whimsically for his own sense gratification. The pure devotee simply depends upon the Lord's mercy, and when the Lord is pleased, he can see him face to face. The Lord is unseen even by demigods like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. That even Lord Shiva, when he was telling Prachetas the prayers and how they should worship, how they should meditate on the Lord, even Lord Shiva says, it's difficult for me to see him, see the Supreme Lord. By calling on the Supreme Lord, the priests of Navi Maharaj proved themselves unintelligent. Nonetheless, the Lord came out of his causeless mercy. All of them therefore wanted to be excused by the Lord. Worship of the Supreme Lord for material gain is not approved by authorities. O best among the Bharats, Arjun, 4 kinds of pious men render devotion service unto me. The distressed, the desirer of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the Absolute. So they are called pious, but it's not like they're very, very good devotees. Krishna himself says, but the devotee, I'm neutral to everybody, but my devotee live in me and I live in my devotees. Initiation into bhakti begins when one is in a distressed condition or in want of money or when one is inquisitive to understand the absolute truth. Nonetheless, people who approach the Supreme Lord in this way are not actually devotees. They are accepted as pious, Sukritina, due to the inquiring about the absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not knowing the various activities and engagements of the Lord, such people unnecessarily disturb the Lord for material gain. However, the Lord is so kind that even though disturbed, he fulfills the desires of such beggars. The pure devotee is Anya Bhilashita, Shunya. He has no motive behind this worship. He is not conducted by the influence of Maya in the form of karma or jnana. Pure devotee is always prepared to execute the order of the Lord without personal consideration. The Ritvija, the priest at the sacrifice, knew very well the distinction between karma and bhakti. And because they considered themselves under the influence of karma, fruitive activity. They begged the Lord's pardon. They knew that the Lord had been invited to come for some paltry reason. And they didn't. They themselves didn't like it when the Lord appeared. But obviously, if the Lord has appeared, there is a higher purpose. Shri Shukuvacha. Iti nigade-nabhishtu-yamano bhagwan-in-mir nimishir rishabho varshadhara-bhivadit abhivandita charana sadayam idam aha. Shri Shukdev Goswami said, the priests who were even worshipped by King Nabhi, the emperor of Bharatvarsha, offered prayers in prose. Generally, they were in poetry and bowed down at the Lord's lotus feet. The Lord of Lords, the ruler of the demigods, was very pleased with them, and he began to speak as follows. So Shukdev Goswami was speaking all the prayers, and they were in prose, not poetry. And Shukdev Goswami himself says so. So anyways, the Lord was very pleased with them, and he began to speak as follows. Shri Bhagwan Vacha. And Bhagwan also speaks in prose form, not poetry. Aho bataham rishyo bhavadbhir avithat girbhir varam sulabham abhiyachito yadam pushyatmajo maya sadrishu bhuyaditi mamaham eva bhirupaha kavalya tathapi brahmavado nam rishya bhavitum arhati mamayahi mukham yad dvijadeva kulam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead replied, O great sages, I am certainly very pleased with your prayers. You are all truthful. You have prayed for the benediction of a son like me for Navi, King Navi, but this is very difficult to obtain. Since I am the Supreme Person without a second, and since no one is equal to me, another personality like me is not possible to find. In any case, because you're all qualified Brahmins, your vibrations should not prove untrue. I consider the Brahmins who are well qualified with Brahminical qualities to be as good as my own mount. So that is a real Brahman. Brahmins who are well qualified with Brahminical qualities. Not the caste Brahmins who don't even know the whole thing and don't have the proper behavior or etiquette, no knowledge of the scriptures. They're not real Brahmins. But these are the Brahmins. Supreme Lord himself says, I consider you as my own mouth. The word avitat giripi means they whose spoken vibrations cannot be nullified. The Brahmins, Dvija, the twice born, are given a chance by the Shastric regulations to become almost as powerful as the Supreme Lord. Whatever a Brahman speaks cannot be nullified or changed in any circumstance. That's how powerful a Brahman is, because whatever he says, basically it is coming from the Supreme Lord. So that is why in earlier days we can read about that this Brahman got upset and he broke his Brahman thread and he cursed somebody. The curse has to be fulfilled. It has to come to pass. According to Vedic injunctions, a Brahman is a mouth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, in all rituals, a Brahman is offered food, Brahman Bhojan, because when a Brahman eats, it is considered that the Supreme Lord himself eats. Similarly, whatever a Brahman speaks cannot be changed. It must act. The learned sages who were priests at Maharaj Nabhi's sacrifice were not only Brahmins, but were so qualified that they were like devas, demigods of God himself. If this were not the case, how could they invite Lord Vishnu to come to the sacrificial arena? God is one and God does not belong to this or that religion. God is one and God does not belong to this or that religion. In Kali Yuga, different religious sects consider their God to be different from the God of others. But that is not possible. God is one. And he is appreciated according to different angles of vision. In this verse, the word Kevalyat means that God has no competitor. There is only one God. In the Shvetashvatar Upanishad, it is said, Nata samaschabhyadikashchadrishyate. No one is found to be equal to him or greater than him. That is the definition of God. So he was pleased with the Brahman chanting and he appeared. And also, it was mentioned earlier, he appeared because of King Nabhi and Meru Devi's devotional service. Tad Agni Dhreyansh Kalyavatarishyami Atmatulyam Anupalab Manaha. And just like in the previous verse, he said, there is no one equal to me. You want a son like me, but there is no one like me. Since I cannot find anyone equal to me, I shall personally expand myself into a plenary portion and thus advent myself in the womb of Meru Devi, the wife of Maharaj Nabhi, the son of Agnidhra. This is an example of the omnipotence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although he is one without a second, he expands himself by Swa-ansha, his personal expansion, and sometimes by Vibhinansha, or his separated expansion. Lord Vishnu herein agrees to send his personal expansion as the son of Meru Devi, the wife of Maharaj Nabhi, who is the son of Agnidhra. The Ritvija, the priests, knew that God is one, yet they prayed for the Supreme Lord to become the son of Maharaj Nabhi, to let the world know that the absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is one without a second. When he incarnates, he expands himself in different potencies. So now he is going to appear as Rishabdev, the son of Maharaj Nabhi and Meru Devi, but it's a plenary expansion of Krishna himself. This is Swansha. And obviously, when the Lord appears, there is some background for him to appear and some pastimes that he's going to perform. Shri Shukvacha iti nishamyantya Meru Devya patim abhidhayantar dade Bhagwan. Shukdev Goswami continued, after saying this, the Lord disappeared. The wife of King Nabhi, Queen Meru Devi, was sitting by the side of her husband, and consequently she could hear everything the Supreme Lord had spoken. According to the Vedic injunctions, one should perform sacrifices in the company of one's own wife. Sapatniko dharmam achared. Religious rituals should be performed with one's wife. Therefore, Maharaj Nabhi conducted his great sacrifice with his wife by his side. So Vedic sacrifices, if one is a grihastha, he should perform with his wife on the side. And that's where Lord Ram, he was stuck when Sita ji was left, was sent to the forest after he came back, after he became the king. No, but that was Treta Yuga, so he had to perform sacrifices, and sacrifices cannot be performed without his wife. So for every sacrifice, they used to make a Sita out of gold, a deity of Sita out of gold. And that Sita would be kept alongside Ram for the sacrifice. And after the sacrifice was over, this gold deity of Sita would be kept in the storage. So many sacrifices were performed by Ram during all those years when Sita was in the ashram of Bharadwaj Rishi. But when Love Kush, that scene happened, and Sita and Ram went to the ashram, and Love Kush had bound that horse of Ashwamedh Yagya. Ram went to the forest, and then he saw Sita, and he wanted Sita to come back, but Sita said, "No, I'm not going to come back." And Sita just the earth opened up, and Sita went inside the earth. Then Lord Ram came back. And then when Lord Ram was going to leave for wind up his pastimes and come back to Ayodhya, all these Sitas, the golden Sitas, were kept, the forms of Sita, they all became alive because they all had been accepted by Ram as his wife, even for the sacrifice. So they all became alive. And they all came and they all said to Ram that you accept us as your wives. I think it happened before Ram was going to leave. So Ram said, well, in this pastime, I have taken vow of only one wife. But when I come as in the Dwapar Yuga as Krishna, so you all appear over there, and then I'll accept you as my wives. So all these Sitas, they also became gopis. There's so many different gopis. So these Sitas, gold Sitas, they all became gopis also. So Krishna is Krishna. He can do so many things. It's funny when Lord Ram, for Ram it is said, prana jai par vachana na jai, right? Ragukul Reet Sada Chali Ai, Prana Jai par vachana na jai. But Yadukul Reet, and not just Yadukul, it's only with Krishna. Krishna is different. Yadukul Reet Sada Chali Ai, Vachan Jai, Kuch bhi Jai, but Pran na Jai. Pran matlab devotees Pran na Jai. Whatever else he is ready to just get rid of, doesn't matter. He has said or not. It's like he picked up the chariot wheel to kill Bhishma. Although he had himself taken a vow, I'll not pick up any weapon. So with Krishna, it's totally different. And Ram is Maryada Purushottam, Krishna is Purna Purushottam. And Mahaprabhu is Prema Purushottam. So everybody, they all have their own pastimes, own way of dealing with devotees. And that's what makes a pastime so sweet. And that's what makes the devotees also very sweet. But anyway, I don't know why I got distracted. Text 20. Barhishit tasmin Vishnu tat Bhagwan Paramarishi Prasaditu Nabhe Priya Chikirshaya Tad Avarodhayane Meru Devyam Dharman Darsh Tu Kamam Vatarashana Shramanam Namrishinam Murtha Mantinam Shukla Yatanu Avavatara. O Vishnu Dutt, Parikshit Maharaj. So Shukdev Goswami is telling Parikshit Maharaj. The Supreme Personality of Godhead was pleased by the great sages at that sacrifice. Consequently, the Lord decided to personally exhibit the method of executing religious principles as observed by brahmacharis, sannyasis, vanprasthas, and grihasthas, engaged in rituals, and also satisfy Maharaj Navi's desire. Consequently, he appeared as the son of Meru Devi in his original spiritual form, which is above the modes of material nature. When the Supreme Lord appears or descends as an incarnation within this material world, he does not accept a body made of the three modes of material nature. Sattvagun, Rajagun, or Tamagun. Mayavadi philosophers say that the impersonal God appears in this material world by accepting a body in the Sattvagun. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur states that the word Shukla means consisting of Shuddha Sattva. Lord Vishnu descends in a Shuddha Sattva form. Shuddha Sattva refers to Sattvagun which is never contaminated or which is spiritual. In this material world, even the mode of goodness is contaminated by tinges of Rajogun and Tamogun. When Sattvagun is never contaminated by Rajogun and Tamogun, it is called Shuddha Sattva. Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabditam. That is a platform of Vasudeva, whereby the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, can be experienced. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna himself says, whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious principles, a descendant of Bharat, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. Means he comes in his own transcendental, spiritual form. Unlike other ordinary living entities, the Supreme Lord is not forced by the modes of material nature to appear. He appears dharman darshaitu kama, to show how to execute the functions of a human being. The word dharma is meant for human beings and is never used in connection with beings inferior to human beings, such as animals. Unfortunately, without being guided by the Supreme Lord, human beings sometimes manufacture a process of dharma by concoction. Actually, dharma cannot be made by man. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagvat pranitam. Dharma is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, just as the law is given by the state government. We cannot make up our own laws. We cannot do that. It's given by the government, and that's what we have to follow. So similarly, the dharma or law for the humankind, law of the society, everything is given by the God Himself. Man-made dharma has no meaning. Srimad Bhagavatam refers to man-made dharma or Katav dharma, means cheating religion. Supreme Lord sends an avatar incarnation to teach human society the proper way to execute religious principles. Such religious principles are Bhakti Marga. As the Supreme Lord himself says in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharman Pariteja. The son of Maharaj Navi, Rishabdev, appeared on this earth to preach the principles of religion. This will be explained in the 5th chapter of this 5th canto. So thus ends the 3rd chapter. So tomorrow we'll start the 4th chapter. See anybody has any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
And glories to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhuji, in the 15th verse, like it is mentioned that the pure devotee never wants to see the Lord unnecessarily. The pure devotee is always engaged in the service and does not necessarily want to see the form of the Lord. Lord himself appears before the pure devotee. Does it mean this, Prabhuji?
It only says that he doesn't want to disturb the Lord. But again, just like Pandavas, they never wanted Krishna to leave Hastinapur. They didn't want him to go to Dwarka, so they would always call him back for something or other. And the Lord always obliged. They are his pure devotees. And he was also afraid that Dwarkavaisis will also not like it because they are also my devotees. So anyway, that's a competition. But the point that that is being made there is he doesn't want to disturb the Lord unnecessarily. That's all.
Okay, thank you so much, Prabhuji. One more thing, Prabhuji. The 4 kind of pious people, Sukritinas, who come to the Lord. So, like the neophyte who is practicing devotional service, like we also sometimes have like some dilemma or some desire, but on the material platform, um, and we pray to the Lord for that. So, that is also something like we are falling into that category.
We are so much in the beginning stages. Yes, of course, we are in that category. But at least in Bhagavatam itself, earlier it is said, Akama sarva kama va moksha kama dati. Means even if somebody has all the material desires, sarva kama, he should worship Krishna only. Don't go here and there. So only thing is, it just for us to understand what is our position. We are not pure devotees. That's for sure. So we have to work hard, very hard. But at the same time, if we have material desires, okay, well, we only go to Krishna, please, and we can put in our request. Whether he fulfills or not, that's up to him.
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. But like the mood should be that we should not think like for our sense gratification, or we should not pray more for pleasing our senses, but only in the service of the Lord. Is it, Prabhuji?
Again, Mata, this point of sense gratification, we all are so much into it, we don't even realize it is sense gratification or not. So anyway, whether we are trying to gratify our senses, whether we think we are trying to please Krishna or his devotees or his followers, whatever it is, we just stay engaged. That's all. It's a very fine line between sense gratification and surrender. And we many times we cross the line. I give you an example. I know you're confused. Using a computer in the service of the Lord. So we say, oh, it is Yukta Vairagya, that we have a nice computer, nice phone, nice house, and everything. We are using it in the service of the Lord. Are we really? We have to ask ourselves this question. Are we really engaging everything in the service of the Lord? And I'm not at all attached to it. We have to ask ourselves. The chances are we are attached. So that's okay. See, bhakti processes, we grow very gradually. It's okay. Let it grow gradually. At the same time, we cannot imitate those who are on higher level than us. There could be many, many devotees who are way advanced than us. That's fine. We take inspiration from them, but at the same time, we cannot imitate them. And there could be many devotees who are not as advanced as we are. So we show compassion to them and we try to give them a good counsel, good company, good association. So that's how we make progress. All of a sudden, yes, Prabhupada talks so much about sense gratification. But how do we draw the line? That is how attached we are to that thing, to that service, to that place, or whatever. So it's okay. It's okay. A ripe mango and a green mango. They both are mangoes. Just a ripe mango is more sweet, more tasty than a green mango. So we are right now at the green mango stage. And let the heat of bhakti ripen it up slowly, 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 slowly. It's okay. Is it okay?
Yes, wonderful example and very beautiful explanation. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Very, very
You're welcome.
correctly, like, so much attachment, and very rightly said that the degree to which we are attached reflects that. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
You're welcome. Hare Krishna. Any other question or comment?
a beautiful explanation. And thank you so much, Pratika, for the wonderful question. It also clarified my
Chalo, I guess we can stop here. You all have a wonderful and safe day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Jai Shri
Jai
Prabhupada.
Shri Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.